Oh, hi? Is anyone there? Oh, nice to see you guys. Lucas Haneman here. Welcome to this week's episode of Guitar Tone Tuesday. Okay. All joking aside, on today's episode, we're going to talk about not looking at your fretboard and how I think that this can help you as a musician. It took me a long time to realize that I should not be looking at my fretboard, and I'm going to give you guys a backstory. I was born with no vision in my left eye, only 8% vision in my right eye. And this does not bother me at all. I'm totally comfortable with talking about it. But I was a bit of a fool when I was a kid, and I was trying to learn how to play the guitar when I was about 6 years old. I put dots, big bright dots on the neck of my guitar, and I used to strain to look at those to figure out where I was on the guitar. And then up until my teenage years, I would still squint at the fretboard to try to figure out where I was, and I'm sure that didn't look very good, kind of being cross-eyed on stage or whatever. Okay, so it took me a long time to discover that I could do everything tactilely on the instrument, and I want to shed some of this light on how to play tactilely on the guitar, because I think it can help everybody. If you're trying to, for instance, learn how to sing and play at the same time, you have to be looking at the crowd. You can't really look at your guitar. You have to sing into the microphone. You can't sing like this. If you're trying to work on your ears and be a better listener to the people around you or the music you're trying to absorb, not looking at your guitar helps there too. But it took me a long time, as I say, to figure this out, and it took a very particular experience. When I moved to Montreal to study jazz guitar, I had a very lucky opportunity to have a weekly gig at a restaurant called the Au Noir, and I maintained that gig for about 6 years, actually. I was very lucky. And this restaurant was special because they served the food completely in the dark to simulate the experience of being blind or visually impaired. And you might think that I had a bit of an advantage there, and perhaps I did, but it still took me a while to adjust to not looking at my instrument. I think I had a bit of an upper hand, though, compared to the fully sighted people who I was trying to play with and guide through this dark restaurant. But it took me a while to get rid of my bad habits. And there's a few specific things that I think will help you try to not look at your guitar when you're playing. First and foremost, you have to lock yourself in a dark room or use a blinder like this, just to not look at your instrument when the temptation is there to do so. One thing you should try to do at first is just play simple songs, chords that you know, like G, C, D. Try to feel those chords. Try to feel where your fingers are in the fretboard. That's one thing you should do. Now, the other thing to get a little bit more advanced is learn the cage system on the guitar. The cage system is a series of chord shapes, C shapes, A shapes, G shapes, E shapes, and D shapes that you can run pretty much any chord type with and move up the guitar horizontally. Now, just to show you guys I'm not cheating, I'm going to put my blinders on here. I stole these from my wife. Thanks, Megan. Here's a C shape, C chord. Here's an A-shaped C chord. Here's a G-shaped C chord. Here's an E-shaped C chord. Here's a D-shaped C chord. I'm going to do those with minor chords now. Here's a C minor chord, an A-shaped C minor chord, an E-shaped C minor chord. Oh, sorry. A G-shaped C minor chord, an E-shaped C minor chord, and a D-shaped C minor chord. I'll do it with seventh chords too. If you can get to know all those chord types in your cage system, that'll be a great first step. The other thing is that with your cage system, you can also play scales within your chord shapes. So there's a C major scale based on a C major chord shape. Here's my A-shaped C chord, and here's a scale based on that chord shape. The idea is that the scale doesn't move beyond the chord shape. Here's my G-shaped C chord, and here's a C major scale based off that chord shape. Here's my E-shaped chord, and here's the scale based off that chord shape. Here's my D shape chord and the scale based off that chord shape. So it took me a long time to memorize these things, and I was trying to do them while I had that regular gig in Montreal, because I had that regular gig mainly when I was actually studying music at Concordia University. So it took a few years to absorb these things. But the other thing that I think was really, really helpful was I also would test myself. So I do things like, okay, blinders on, I'm going to play a G chord. Now I'm going to just try to move that 12 frets up the neck. Okay, lucky guess. I'm going to try that with an A minor chord. Lucky guess again. D major. Oh, 1 fret too low. Now, I'm working on my ear when I'm doing this because I could hear that was really out of tune. That's in tune. That's out of tune. That's in tune. I'm going to do it with an F major chord. Okay, so things like that. Or for instance, playing melodies in different areas of the neck. So here's Day Tripper. I'm going to move that 12 frets up the neck, or try to. I'm going to play it right here, starting on my index finger. I'm going to try playing it in that same area, but eliminate all the open strings. Just little exercises like that can really help you. Getting to know your triads all around the neck. Triads basically are 3-note chords that exist in every scale. So every scale would have 7 chords. So for instance, the chords in C major are C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and then back to C major. Now I can play those as triads, meaning 3-note chords, as I say. These are great because they're very tactile, because you're just running up and down the fretboard, trying to memorize chord shapes and the way they feel. I'm going to play them off the D string now. There's a bit of a challenge sometimes trying to remember all these shapes. Off the G string, by the way. Here they are off the low E string. Oh, sorry. You see, it's not perfect. Anyways, these are all things that you guys can investigate on your own, and take your time. I would suggest spending a lot of time with the cage system, and I think that will free you up a lot. You know, it's really trusting your gut, listening a lot to different music, trying to play along to records. All of these things will help your ear. But definitely this cage system thing especially, I find, because of the fact that every shape ends where the next one begins. Every shape ends where the next one begins. Like for instance here, C major ends on the 3rd fret. The A-shaped C chord starts on that 3rd fret. This one ends on the 5th fret. The next one starts on the 5th fret. This one ends on the 8th fret. The next one starts on the 8th fret. This one ends on the 10th fret. The next one starts on the 10th fret. So you get the idea. That's it for this week, guys. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me know if you guys have done things like this to train your ear. If you have not tried it yet, at least turn the lights off wherever you practice and try just playing something familiar to get started on this. That's it for this week. We will see you guys again next Tuesday. Bye-bye.